Hey, hey, you know what time it is? Woo! Get into it! Get into it! Yes! Hi, happy people. It's Storytime with Chris. We're back with another reading of My Neighbor Totoro. Hope everybody is having a really good night. Today was a really awesome day. Work was fun. And I got an awesome gift from my wonderful friend Nomad. Got a little tensor owl. It's so cute. And this is beautiful. I am blessed with friends that have amazing crafting abilities. Hi, Rachel. Hi, sweetie. Yes. A very beautiful gift. Along with some new tensor rings, which I'm super happy about. I got my tea tonight. I cheated the last time, y'all. Y'all know typically I drink tea, but I have it tonight. In my Disney Princess cup, no less. Spilled a little bit. Even though all of them are not on there, jeez, I have to put my hand behind the product. So we got Aurora, Belle, Cinderella, Ariel, and Jasmine. Spilling. Jeez. Hold on one second, y'all. I need to grab a towel. Which, by the way, I do not own the music that you are listening to in the background. Shout out again to Mr. Ambiance for providing amazing musical selections for me to play for you all while I read to you. And as I have said before, you never have to watch these videos when they go live. Oh, Rachel, to answer your question, you should know that by... Look at all these books. Belle, by far, Belle is #1 Disney princess. #1 in my book. Probably after Belle would be, that's tough. Because it's like tied between Belle and Cinderella. Love those two. Love those two adaptations of those characters. There are other adaptations of those two stories that I really, really love. Some of them you probably would know about. Others are really obscure that I'm pretty confident that nobody has seen, except for the really obscure 90s kids. Anyway, it goes Belle, tied with Cinderella, and then Ariel, Jasmine, Tiana, Rapunzel, and Aurora, and Snow White. Probably like lower tier on the list. Not because she's a... I personally don't think Snow White is a bad character. I don't think she is something that is to be negative. I think she is truly, Snow White specifically, which we could take a story time where I will read that story. Preferably the original story. Because it's vastly different than the Disney adaptation. But Snow White is the example of what people tend to miss out on with that character, which is true innocence. She is the exemplary form of what true innocence in a time of which where people of a youthful age could be carefree and, live their life and, go flower picking and cooking and cleaning, and she had to do that because her stepmother was the queen at the time and made her do work. She is an example of a different time, and I don't think that Snow White is a negative depiction of women. I think she is a beautiful example of a kind of woman that does indeed exist. There is nothing wrong, and I'm saying this to kids too, there's nothing wrong with liking being domestic, whether it is by force or whether it is by choice. There are plenty of people who are beautiful and knowledgeable and have the degree, got the skills, they got the bag, so to speak, as the kids say, but they don't know nothing about cooking, how to sew clothes, how to keep house, how to do your own laundry, how to care for other people, how to nurse people back to health. These are things that are just as essential as getting the bag or getting the degree, in my opinion. And I feel like I have been very blessed and fortunate to be blessed with great intellect and education and opportunities, but I'm also incredibly domestic. I keep a very good house. I keep my house clean. I can cook a whole feast by myself with no assistance. I am able to bake. I can sew a little bit, depending on what it is. I can't sew buttons, unfortunately, because my hands are very big. But like, if you need me to like sew ripping the shirt or something like that, I can do that. It's been a while though. Shout out to my friend Elisa and Christine who have definitely sewed back up some dress pants for me because I just didn't have at the time the skills to do it myself. Um, but there's nothing wrong with that. I think everybody has a purpose and a place of skills that they thrive in, and I don't think it's wrong to exemplify those things. I don't. A lot of people would say that Cinderella is like passive and a poor example of women. No, I think she is an excellent example of a type of woman that does exist, who, despite degradation and being hated upon, still lives with the resounding resilience of being like, no matter how cruel you are to me, I'm going to show you that I am better than what you perceive me to be. And she got her blessing. She got her prince. She got out of that household and she upgraded, okay? She got the full upgrade. But she also did it because she believed in herself. You know, the fairy godmother's like, I couldn't be here if you didn't believe that you could do this. I couldn't be here if you didn't think that there was an opportunity for you elsewhere. A lot of people miss that. A lot of people mix up modern sensibilities with things that are, though they are older, they are also valid examples of different types of women and men in fiction that definitely are reflections of people in day-to-day life. This lock, one of my locks is like constantly sticky out. It's out to get me, but it's fine. I love them all. Loving the 90s side bang we got going over here. Hi, Tiara. Hi, Kim. Enough of me jabbering. We're going to get on to the story. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Always got to make sure the glasses are clean because I tend to get them dirty while I'm working. So I have two pairs of glasses. I have glasses for special occasions and I have my daily glasses, which I am definitely due for a new pair of glasses. Okay. Alrighty. Without further ado, we got a lengthy chapter today, which is totally fine, because this is where the plot thickens. Chapter 5, The Rainy Day. Tatsuo had said he would find someone to help around the house, but no one came. Maybe Mother was right. Perhaps they couldn't afford it. The three of them would just have to make do on their own. At first, Satsuki had to run the mile to her new school without even having breakfast. She often missed the first bell because Tetsuo slept in. It was hard for him to get up after working all night to meet a translation deadline. Finally, after being late to school once too often, Satsuki learned to get up early and make her breakfast herself. Of course, she packed her own lunch as well. Granny Ogaki was astonished at how quickly Satsuki learned to heat the bath, light the fire, and cook over charcoal. Satsuki loved the smell of the burning wood, the colors in the flame, the glowing heat, and the way the wood crackled and threw sparks. Cooking with the little charcoal stove was a challenge. The coals were either too hot or not hot enough, and different foods needed different amounts of heat. When she lost track of time watching the fire for the bath, Satsuki found the rice burned black at the bottom of the pot. Even if she had soaked it for half a day before cooking it, once the rice was burned, it took ages to scrape off. If she stewed vegetables in soy sauce, the liquid was sure to come spitting out from under the lid of the pot. Startled, she would heap ashes on the coals to cool the grill and come back later to find that the fire had gone out completely. Then there was fish. Grilling one side of the fish was easy, but then she had to flip it over, and it always seemed to fall through the grill onto the coals. Trying to pick it up with her fingers almost always meant getting burned. When she used the steel cooking chopsticks, the fish would slide around and she couldn't get a grip on it. Things got really exciting if she tried to stab it with the chopsticks. The fish would break apart and fall down between the coals, and the fat would send up white smoke and little spattering balls of flame. And so, by trial and many, many errors, she learned to cook, and whether undercooked or burned, Satsuki ate her failures without regret. Why be picky? She was managing breakfast by herself, and whatever she made tasted good because she made it. She ate a solid breakfast, packed herself a big lunch, and walked to school feeling like she owned the morning. Which definitely sounds like me as a kid, because I learned to cook at a very young age. And regardless of whether or not it was excellent or failure, I ate it because I made it, and I was that kid. My mom can vouch for me on that. Specifically about an incident with a pack of 24 wing pieces that I over-seasoned. But that's another story for another day. Granny Ogaki was Satsuki's stalwart ally. She always seemed to be in the neighborhood, as she would say, to stop by and lend a hand. If not for Granny, Satsuki and Mei would have found each day much harder without their mother. Perhaps because of all of Granny's children and grandchildren were boys, she took special pleasure in looking after the two girls. They were overjoyed to see her, and she always brought them something from her kitchen. Granny never seemed to worry what time it was. She got up with the sun, and went home when it went down. She took things slow and easy, never hurrying at all. No matter how often Satsuki asked Granny to teach her something, Granny never complained, and no matter how often Satsuki made the same mistake, she never lost her patience. Now, she said with a chuckle, watch the oil. Frying ain't that same as deep frying. As time went on, one little problem after another was smoothed out. But there was one problem that couldn't solve. Sometimes Tetsuo had to be away all day, working at the university. So what to do with Mei? At first, Tetsuo and Satsuki were completely at a loss. Of course, they couldn't leave her alone while Tetsuo was out and Satsuki was at school. Satsuki's classmate Miyoko was the only person outside the family that shy, retiring Mei felt at home with. But of course, when Satsuki was at school, Miyoko was there too. Asking a stranger to babysit Mei would be unfair. She would have been miserable. The only solution was to rely on Granny to look after Mei on the days when Tetsuo was out and Satsuki was at school. The evening before he would be away for the first time, Tetsuo made playful promises to Satsuki and Mei to boost their spirits. Mei, you have a tough day ahead tomorrow. Tomorrow night you can stay up as late as you want. Great! You can stay up all night while I work if you feel like it. Really? You don't even have to brush your teeth. Awesome! Satsuki, what's the name of that magazine you like? Girl something? Girls Club, Satsuki said. Then I'll buy you a copy. Thanks, Daddy. You've got a big day tomorrow, too. So as a special bonus, you can read Girls Club in the bath and I won't say a thing. Satsuki laughed. She loved to read. Even when she was taking a walk. Even in the bathtub. She would sit in the water holding the book with her left hand and turning the pages with her right. Like this. And yes, when I was younger, I definitely have family. When I was younger, I definitely read and walked at the same time. Yes. She would sit in the water holding the book with her left hand and turning the pages with her right. If her hand got wet, she'd turn the pages with her tongue. If the book was heavy, it sometimes fell in the water, and if Tetsuo caught her, she never heard the end of it. Satsuki, go get a sheet of paper and a pencil, Tetsuo told her. Let's discuss our to-do list for tomorrow. That way, whenever I have to go to work, you'll have a plan already. Here's the list. Get up, everybody, fold futons, make breakfast, make box lunches, don't forget. Daddy leaves the bus at 6:42. Satsuki and Mei leave at 7:50 for Granny's. Take change of clothes for Mei. Right, Mei! Should put her crayons in her bag, Mei said. Satsuki wrote it down. Mei, crayons in bag. Satsuki to school. After school, Satsuki picks up Mei. Afternoon snack in cupboard. Rice crackers in second drawer. Daddy home by 5:15 on the bus. Girls Club for Satsuki. I'll pick up something for dinner, Tetsuo said. There's a butcher shop behind the university that makes fantastic croquettes. Croquettes! May and Satsuki said and clapped their hands. How long had it been since they had eaten croquettes? They'd almost forgotten what they tasted like. Main dish, croquettes, make rice, miso soup, have dinner. Which, by the way, salmon croquettes are delicious. I haven't made them in a long time, but that might be a thing these next few days. We'll see. Daddy, should I heat the bath before you come home? No, don't start the fire till I get back. Let's make the rice for dinner in the morning. That way we can save time. I can do it after I get home, you know. But it's extra work. Satsuki erased make rice miso soup. Okay, that's it. Daddy, can I call this to-do list croquet day? The morning of croquet day was completely different from other mornings. Everyone got up before dawn and rushed to finish everything on the list. After breakfast, Satsuki dressed May in her best one-piece dress. The dress had belonged to Mother when she was little. She had altered it for Satsuki, and Satsuki finally handed it down to May. When she wore it, May looked like a different girl. Maybe it was the bright red and green check pattern, but it made her look stylish and new. May, that dress is so you, Tatsuo said.
We used to be Mommy's,
May said proudly, and put her hat on with a flourish. Tatsuo was wearing his gray suit. What do you think? Do I look like a professor? Satsuki looked him up and down carefully. It looks awfully wrinkled. Should we iron it?
It's ironed,
May said. Who cares about a few wrinkles? Tetsuo smiled. The important thing is to wear it. He peered at himself in Mother's dressing table mirror and moved his tie from side to side, trying to get it right.
What are you doing, Daddy?
May said. Tetsuo loosened his tie and pulled it off. I don't like the way this looks. No necktie today. Satsuki looked worried. But, Daddy, men always wear ties when they go to work. Are you sure it's okay? No problem. Archaeologists don't have to wear ties. Oh no, the time! The clock in the living room chimed once faintly. It's 6:30. I have to go. He put on his white cap and said, You two be good today. They shook hands solemnly with each of them. If you start to worry, remember what I'm bringing home tonight. They followed him to the entryway. He put his shoes on and picked up his briefcase. All right, Satsuki, I'm leaving you in charge. Tell Mrs. Ogaki I'll drop by tonight to thank her. Don't forget to thank her yourself for helping us out. He threw open the sliding front door. See you tonight. Be good. He left the door open and started off toward the road, glancing at his wristwatch. Then he was gone. See you tonight! Satsuki called after him. She went back to the living room and looked at the clock. I wonder if Daddy will catch the bus.
Why did he leave so soon?
May asked. Because it's really far from here to the university. Satsuki decided not to worry about finishing the breakfast dishes. She could do them when she got home. Now the hard part of the day began.
I already wiped my face. I did!
May complained as Satsuki wiped her face with a towel hard enough to flatten her little nose. You can't go out with soy sauce on your chin, Satsuki told her. You're going visiting today. You have to be neat. Now ready, set, go! Satsuki locked the front door and they walked down the path to the bridge, leaving the empty house behind them. The road was wet with dew. The little stream ran dark and twisting beside the road. The primrose blossoms gaped lazily. The pencil case in Satsuki's backpack rattled as she walked along. Matsuko village lay wrapped in sleep. The air was filled with the smell of pennyroyal and pine needles. Satsuki pretended to lag behind May, and May laughed with delight as she marched along the road. She held the bag Mother had made her tightly under her shoulder as she pranced and skipped along. Down the road, outside Kanta's house, Granny was waiting. Good morning, Granny! Satsuki called out. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, Granny said and smiled. May held Satsuki's hand tight. Kanta's waiting for you. He wants you to help him collect the eggs from the hens. Granny took May's other hand. Eggs? May said, looking up at her. That's right. Shall we go? Kanta's waiting for you by the hen house.
Okay.
Better say goodbye to your sister. Okay. She let go of Satsuki's hand and waved. Bye-bye, she said, and let Granny guide her toward the house.
Can I pick some eggs too?
Of course you can, Granny said. She turned to look at Satsuki, nodding as if to say, You'd better go now. She looked up at the sky. It was bright blue with white clouds. Looks like rain this afternoon. You'll need an umbrella. Thanks for your help. Satsuki said and bowed. Then she started back the way she had come. Sawadai Number 2 Elementary School was about a mile to the east, past Satsuki's house and Tsukumori Woods. As she reached the footbridge again, Satsuki wondered if she should go in the house and get her umbrella. She was a little worried about what Granny had said. Satsuki, wait up! Satsuki turned and saw Miyako running toward her along the shortcut between the rice paddies. Wait for me! Let's go together! Miyako called. Maybe I don't need that umbrella anyway, Satsuki thought and waved at Miyako. The sky was deep blue and the clouds were very white. There were a lot of clouds, but the sun was shining. The weather was fine, Satsuki decided. It didn't look like rain at all. She waited for Miyako to catch up. Good morning, Miyako. We better get going. Sawadai no Number 2 Elementary School was a big, cozy wooden building. Satsuki's last school district had been close to a bustling shopping district. It was built of concrete and steel and must have had twice as many students as her new school. The atmosphere in Sawada was much more relaxed as well. The walk to school was also very different. Once Satsuki walked past the little lake that lay on the other side of Tsukumori Woods, there was nothing but rice paddies all the way. Just beyond the lake, the railroad ran along a high embankment extending north and south with a bridge where the tracks ran above the road. Unless the train was passing by, the only sounds were the voices of children on their way to school, the wind and the birds calling. Satsuki was astonished when she learned that the school custodian, Mr. Karaki, and his wife lived in the school building. Down the wide hall, just inside the front door and to the left, was the custodian's office, but everyone called it the Karaki house. If you dropped by after class and peeked in the open doorway, you were likely to see Mr. and Mrs. Karaki drinking tea and eating sweets. One day, when Satsuki went there to borrow a bucket, old Mr. Karaki let her steal one of his sweet potato pastries. Everything was different from her old school. Fourth period was composition. Children in Japan take a long time to learn all the characters needed to write the language. But Satsuki learned to read, and when it came to practicing her Chinese characters or writing an essay, she was like a magician compared to the other students, here and there, at her last school. Which, by the way, the native Japanese alphabet is called hiragana, and the foreign Japanese alphabet for objects or people or places that are not indigenous to Japan is called katakana. So a lot of our American, American has a katakana character for that title. There's like hamburger or tennis shoes or radio, like different things that are more attributed to Western living that are not originating in the hiragana language. She finished her in-class assignments faster than anyone and rarely made mistakes. She had a natural ability for writing, almost like the talent a monkey has for climbing trees. Satsuki thought arithmetic was very boring, but she never tired of composition class. Today she finished her character drill before the others and was enjoying looking out the window. Her teacher, Reiko Moriyama, walked around the classroom checking the students' progress. Miss Moriyama had recently graduated from college and was new to teaching. Sometimes when the students were especially noisy, she'd say, "Oh dear, what shall I do? I'm so sad, I think I'm going to cry." Sometimes she really did look like she was going to cry. But usually she was very cheerful. Miss Moriyama was kind and worked quite hard to teach her students. Satsuki noticed Miss Moriyama looking out the window and up at the sky with a worried expression. It was getting a bit cloudy. Out in the playground between the gate and the school building, the sixth graders had divided up into a red team and a white team and were running relay races. Looks like fun, thought Satsuki. She loved to run. She competed on the track team at her last school, but running was something the kids here seemed to be especially good at. Satsuki wasn't sure she was fast enough to compete with them. While she daydreamed, her eyes wandered toward the front gate. No, it couldn't be. She squinted to make out something just outside the pair of stone pillars that marked the entrance to the schoolyard. Just beyond them, she could see something red and green. May? She was about to dismiss the thought when Granny Ogaki stepped out from behind a pillar. It was Granny and May, all right. What was wrong? Had May thrown a tantrum? Leaving her with Granny didn't seem to have worked out after all. What should I do? Satsuki thought. Her heart was pounding with embarrassment. For a few moments, all she could do was sit there frozen. She was a new student, and after being late more often than most, she already stuck out. Now here was May. Satsuki always tried to be organized and efficient like her mother. It upset her when things didn't go according to plan. She might seem confident and fearless to others, but inside she was a worrywart. She was sensitive, she lost her temper easily, and panicked just as easily. May and Granny just stood there outside the gate. Satsuki gave up and raised her head.
Mrs. Moriella?
She said, trying not to attract attention.
Yes, Satsuki, just a few minutes more. We're almost finished. No, it's not that. My sister is here.
What?
My little sister. She's out by the gate,
Satsuki pointed. A little murmur arose from the class. The other children were all ears now. Satsuki stammered.
She was supposed to spend the day at Kanta's house, but...
A few students made mock exclamations of surprise, as if Satsuki and Kanta had a secret that had just been revealed. This made everyone laugh. Kanta stared straight ahead, his face grim.
All right, everyone, Miss Moriyama said. Satsuki's mother is in the hospital, remember? She needs our support.
She opened the window and looked toward the gate again.
Well, we can't just let them stand there. Is your father out today, Satsuki? Yes. Kanta, your grandmother's here.
This brought another murmur of mock surprise from the class. Ooh! Oh! I remember those days very distinctly. Everyone was enjoying this welcome bit of unexpected entertainment. It was fun for everyone except the two people concerned. Kanta was dying of embarrassment. Only if his mother had been standing out there when things had been worse.
Satsuki,
Miss Moriyama said.
Yes, teacher.
Go to the gate and find out what's the matter.
Yes, teacher.
Teacher, hands went up all over the classroom. Can I go too? I want to see the little girl. Several students were talking at once. Please, can I go? The kids by the window get to see everything. It's not fair. I want to go. Let me go too. The classroom was in an uproar. Satsuki couldn't wait anymore. She got up and ran out to the entrance where her outdoor shoes were waiting. All right, everyone, Miss Moriyama said, rather irritated. You can look, but please be quiet. Otherwise, I'm going to close the curtains. Satsuki ran right through the middle of the relay race to the gate. It was sultry and hot. Granny saw Satsuki coming toward them and waved. She looked relieved.
May said she wanted to go to the school,
Granny explained apologetically. May was staring down at her shoes. She wouldn't take no for an answer.
There, you see, Granny said to May. Your sister's right here. Say hello to her, then be a good girl and let Granny take you back.
As soon as she said this, May stretched out her arms and, still looking down, hugged Satsuki's legs.
Let's go, May, said Granny gently. Satsuki has lessons to finish. She'll be along soon.
May didn't answer. Granny stroked May's hair and shook her head helplessly.
She was such a good girl today.
Granny and Satsuki both knew that trying to pry May away from her sister would be futile, but they didn't know what else to do.
May, I can't come with you. School's not over yet, Satsuki said.
May's eyes filled with tears that ran down her cheeks. She hugged Satsuki tighter and pushed her toward the school. Satsuki had had enough. She pulled away from May. May began to cry, a loud wail that came from deep inside. Some of the sixth graders turned to stare at her.
Don't cry, May. Please don't cry. Everyone's looking,
Satsuki said, now thoroughly embarrassed again. May started crying even harder. It was time to give up. Satsuki looked tiredly at Granny Ogaki.
I'll tell the teacher I have to leave early.
She looked down at May again.
May, please stop crying. Let's go. Granny, thanks for helping us again today. I'll take May home.
I'm sorry I couldn't do more, Granny said.
All right, May, come on. I have to get my backpack.
Satsuki dried her tears with the handkerchief she kept in her skirt pocket.
Stop crying now. We have to drop by my classroom.
I'll be going then, Granny said. I'm sorry you have to do this. And she turned and walked away. Satsuki walked dejectedly back toward her classroom with May in tow.
You're not the only one who feels like crying, May.
Satsuki glanced at her classroom windows.
Oh, no!
Everyone in class was crowded at the windows, watching Satsuki and May expectantly. She could hear them laughing and talking, commenting on how cute May was, and wondering out loud what would happen next. Satsuki felt miserable. When she stood in the classroom door, with May, there was a huge commotion as some children scrambled to take their seats and others tried to get a closer look at May. There was a thunder of trampling of feet and scraping chairs.
Why, Satsuki, your little sister is adorable, Miss Moriyama exclaimed. Now back to your seats, everyone, right this minute. Everyone sat down, but they kept craning their necks to look at May. Satsuki walked to the front of the class. On the wall behind her, the results of yesterday's Chinese character drill had been posted. 34 examples of the phrase, a generous heart, one by each student. Finally, when everyone had settled down, Miss Moriyama studied May again and said, "You are without a doubt a very, very cute little girl." "Cute?" Satsuki winced. After what May had done to her, she felt like grinding her teeth. "Miss Moriyama, can I have permission to leave early?" "Why?" the whole class said in unison. "Yes, why?" Miss Moriyama said. "Well, obviously," Satsuki started to say. Hands shot up again. "Teacher! Teacher!" "All right, Junko." Miss Moriyama pointed to Junko Naoi. She stood up ramrod straight. "Why don't we let Satsuki's sister study with us?" "Teacher! Teacher!" Miss Moriyama pointed to another student. Yukio Iwata stood up. "I don't think it's fair to make them stay at home alone," he said. "Well, it's an interesting idea," said pensively, gazing at May. Miyoko stood up, though she hadn't been called on. "Well, I'll take care of her, Miss Moriyama. You don't have to worry." "Teacher!" Kohi Ieda, the class president, raised his hand. "We could bring a chair from the music room. May could sit next to Satsuki." "Well, I guess that would be the best thing to do," Miss Moriyama said. Everyone started clapping and cheering. "Big sister?" "What?" Satsuki was startled at being called Big Sister by Miss Moriyama. "Please bring a chair from the music room." "Oh, that's right. Miss Kusakabe can't be separated from her big sister." Satsuki couldn't believe it. Miss Moriyama was referring to May as Miss Kusakabe. "Well then," Miss Moriyama said. "Masai?" "Yes, Miss Moriyama?" "Please bring a chair from the music room for Miss Kusakabe." "All right." A murmur of envy rose from the students. Going to get a chair was a grand assignment. Masai left for the music room happily. "Miss Kusakabe, would you like to study with us? You'll have to study quietly. Can you do that?" May's eyes sparkled. "Yes, teacher!" Everyone laughed and clapped some more. Satsuki was too embarrassed to join in. Kanta thought the whole situation was getting more embarrassing for him, too, and he kept his face grim. "Now then, little Miss Kusakabe, what is your first name?" Miss Moriyama asked. "May." "May, your chair is here, so please sit down next to your sister." Satsuki went to her seat. May followed in high spirits and sat down. From then until the end of the school day, May was a member of the class. Miss Moriyama gave her paper to draw, and she drew all kinds of pictures. Satsuki's face, Totoro, acorns shaped like apples. "You better be quiet," Satsuki warned her when May started talking to the pictures she was drawing. "I am being quiet," May said earnestly. "I'm being a good girl." After fourth period, it was time for lunch. The girls sitting near May competed to share something nice with her from their lunches. There was so much food that Miss Moriyama had to supervise. She let May use the upturned lid of her own lacquerware lunchbox as a plate and placed little morsels on as long as May had an appetite. Rice, a bit of omelet, stewed vegetables. "No croquettes," said May. "Really? Don't you like them?" Miss Moriyama was surprised. Her chopsticks hovered over the lid of the lunchbox with a bit of croquette from Satsuki's classmate Kazuko. "I like them. Daddy's bringing us croquettes for dinner," May said, a bit self-importantly, "so I don't need one now." "That makes sense." Miss Moriyama put the croquet back in Kazuko's lunchbox. Satsuki felt sorry for Kazuko. May had embarrassed her again. All through lunch, everyone competed to be nice to May. After she finished eating, she sat drawing quietly and didn't fuss or fret at all. Still, when the afternoon bell rang and Satsuki walked through the gate with May, she felt a surge of relief that things were finally getting back on track. It was hot. They were both sweating. Satsuki had a hard time keeping hold of May's hand. Soon after they left the school, she could see a bank of rain clouds coming toward them. Far off, the landscape was dark under the lowering clouds. It was already raining there. Very soon it began to rain where they went. A few drops at first, but big ones darkening the dust in the road. "Come on, May, we better run," Satsuki said. And as she took off, May ran as hard as she could. Raindrops splashed down on them. A grove of bamboo by the roadside swayed as the rain pattered against its slender leaves. A flock of birds rose from the grove and flew away to the west, calling loudly. Farmers in the fields wiped the water from their faces. The rain drummed softly on the broad leaves of cucumber and taro plants. Along the road, the taro leaves were big enough to make an umbrella for a little girl or a hiding place for the rain, but the fields belonged to the farmers. Splash! May tripped and went sprawling in the mud. Satsuki had run a bit ahead. She ran back and helped May stand up. She was a sight to behold, muddy from head to toe. Without May to look after, Satsuki would probably have enjoyed skipping home in the rain. Even if she had an umbrella, she might not even have used it. But she could hardly expect her tiny sister to run home in the rain like a bedraggled mouse. Satsuki wondered why she hadn't just gone back to the school to get an umbrella when it started to rain. And this morning she had a chance to get one from home and didn't bother. Now here they were. Satsuki wondered why she hadn't been a little more careful. She wasn't the only one getting wet. She was getting irritated with herself. As she trudged along, the dim line of the railway embankment finally came into view. A few dozen yards before the road passed under the tracks, an old statue of Jizo stood watch by the roadside, sheltered by a little peaked roof. The girls ran under it to get a respite from the rain. "I'm sorry I forgot to get an umbrella," Satsuki said as she wiped the mud off May's cheeks with her handkerchief.
"It's okay,"
May was calm.
"I fell down, but I didn't cry."
"You're a brave girl." Satsuki peered out at the sky from under the little shelter. The rain was coming down harder. Was it ever going to stop? "Looks like we're here, May." A commuter train rumbled across the bridge above the road. Satsuki wondered if the passengers were carrying umbrellas. Daddy hadn't taken an umbrella this morning, just his cap and briefcase. The paddies lay emerald green in the sheeting rain. The rice plants were so green it almost made you want to sneeze. The long, slender seedlings didn't move at all as the rain ran down them. And there's Satsuki being an awesome big sister by cleaning up her sister's face. Right near the Jizo statue. And those are hydrangeas, if I'm not mistaken, which are one of my favorite flowers. "You love the rain, don't you?" Satsuki thought as she gazed at the paddies. A scarecrow in worn old clothes and a straw hat was getting a good soaking. Satsuki wondered if the scarecrow would mind lending her his hat. Kanto walked right past them, carrying an umbrella with a broken rib. He glanced at Satsuki and May for a moment. He looked slightly confused, but he didn't stop. He just walked on down the road. Satsuki sighed. The rain came sluicing down Jizo's battered old roof. May put a toe out in the little stream running down the road and watched the water flow around it. Maybe they should make a run for home. This isn't going to stop any time soon. Maybe I should go home and bring back an umbrella, Satsuki thought, but she shook her head. She couldn't leave May here all by herself. She was so cute that someone was sure to come along and kidnap her. A pair of wooden clogs came pounding toward them. Satsuki leaned down and looked down the road. It was Kanta. He ran up and held his umbrella out to her stiffly at arm's length. "Take it!" Satsuki was so surprised she did just what he told her. As soon as she took the umbrella, Kanta was off down the road with his backpack over his head, weaving and bounding over the puddles like a young colt. He ran under the bridge and disappeared into the rain. And that is where we will end for tonight. Thank you so much, y'all. Peace and blessings to you. Happy Lunar New Year for all of our friends in China, and those who do celebrate the Lunar New Year in other parts of Asiatic countries and communities. Happy Year of the Tiger. Even though I'm Year of the Sheep, I'm just celebrating y'all. So have a lovely night, y'all. See you next time.